Welcome to another live episode of, where are we? What day is it?
What day is it?
Dejana, you start usually.
I got
That was
this.
me messing up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Teachers for Teachers. That's you, moms and dads. I'm Dr. Dejana, and I'm here with Dr. Leah. And boy, today do we have a surprise for you.
Yeah, this is so exciting. It's probably why I got a little ahead of myself, because a couple of weeks ago, we had Peter Lee join us, whose two sons were making these amazing cardboard superheroes. And today we have the makers themselves, the two brilliant gentlemen who are creating all of these fantastic things out of cardboard. And Connor and Bauer. Lee, would you please say hi and let people.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Connor, and
then I'm Bauer.
And we're the founders of Cardboard Superheroes, which is a nonprofit that promotes arts and education.
We are so excited about this. And this is our week. This is the 9-year anniversary of the flash mob for Kane's Arcade. So perhaps, Dejana, you want to introduce our panel, and then we will get right into asking these young men some questions.
Absolutely. There's so much excitement in the Zoom. So much excitement in the Zoom right now. All right, joining us today for our conversation with these two amazing and inspirational creators is Mark Riddle. Mark Riddle, welcome again. So happy to have you.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Mark has degrees in music, theology, sociology, and works at West Coast University. We're also welcoming to the conversation Dr. Marcella Klein-Williams, an accomplished leader, educator, and well-known in both formal and informal learning environments. Dr. Williams is a frequent speaker on issues of equity. She's currently the STEM director at Oxnard College. Welcome, Marcella. So happy to have you.
So Connor and Bauer, you actually have 4 doctors working on your today. So.
Sounds great.
Let's start with your early inspiration, because you did mention earlier that you saw Kane's Arcade. So how old were you when you saw it, and what were you doing at the time?
So I remember, I don't remember the exact age, but I've always been interested in building, especially starting off with anything I could get my hands on. So paper at first, and same thing with my brother. And when I saw Kane's Arcade, and especially, he's using cardboard, that got me really interested in kind of thinking bigger and just going to build new things. And later on, my mom used to babysit me at my grandpa's warehouse, and just every day I'd be surrounded by cardboard boxes. And just one day I decided to build something out of these, creating I like to say my own little worlds. So every day, and then that's kind of the start of Cardboard Superheroes. And then I got into all these models back here.
And then for me, I also started off always loving to build ever since I was little. And I would just look on YouTube, find all these different types of origami, paper airplanes to build. And I used to build those. And then when I saw my brother building some of these models behind, I joined him, and now we have Cardboard Superheroes.
I love that. Cardboard Superheroes. I really wish that my kids got into cardboard a little earlier. Would have saved me some money on those Legos, because building is building, and using materials like cardboard and upcycled materials can really change the game for sure. So I have a question for you guys. Can I go first, Dr. Leah?
Please do.
I'm super excited. I feel like I have celebrities in the house right now. Just so you guys know out there, everybody that's listening, we have cardboard celebrities with us today. Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Connor Bauer. I'm curious. I see a whole collection of amazing cardboard creations behind you. I want to know, what's your favorite what is something, when you created it and you look at it and it makes you feel good? Tell us a little bit about what you made that's one of your favorites, and what were some of the challenges associated with building that amazing creation?
So I think for me, of course, my favorite is Hulkbuster in the back, because he's our biggest model. He's standing 8 feet tall right now. And so that was definitely a challenging model because of the size. And that actually took us over a year to build. And so, yes, that was definitely challenging, because all of the things, all of the lessons that we learned from the previous models that we built, it all went into Hulkbuster. And just the size, it was just, it's just such a complicated model that that was probably definitely the most challenging.
And then for me, I would say that my favorite, or one of my favorite memories is building R2D2. And looking back now, it's like a very small model. There's no design on it, and but at the time I was just so like amazed and just so happy to have accomplished something so big. And that was kind of like the start of just like building all these superhero models. And then eventually after that, I got into Iron Man, and then just kind of domino, and then everything else right here. And I guess like the one thing that was challenging about him is like the head. And that was like the first time I experimented with like curved designs, especially like a sphere. So I got to learn a new technique, and which is something I carried on with me on every other model.
I love it. I'm hearing like learning. I'm hearing persistence. It took some time. I'm hearing resourcefulness, using the different materials that you had. Like there's all sorts of cool, fun stuff. And then also I can see the fun, because when you're talking about it, I can see your smiles, and I also see the fun. So the teacher in me gets excited because through this like really cool creative outlet, you were able to learn and explore and have fun. So thanks for sharing those favorites for sure. That was awesome. And thank you for letting me go first with the question.
So when we heard from your dad, he said that one of the things that, as the models got bigger, that you learned or had to deal with was scaffolding, or, the skeleton making, or whatever else, just because some of them got so big that they, just to keep them upright was a challenge. What kinds of rules or principles do you use when you start stuff now? Like if you're going to build something big, what kind of ideas do you work with out front?
So one thing that's like the first thing is we print out pictures of all different angles of the models, and we want to prepare so we know the scaling, the size. So we do all the measurements like pre-hand. And once we do that, and we like use ratios and our inches to centimeters, we then build the inner frame. And this is something that's really important, because the reason why Iron Man's actually not standing behind us and he's laying down over in the side is because when I built him in like the 5th grade, I didn't think of building an internal frame, and he's collapsed now, and so we have to fix him up, which is something that now we make sure to make a really strong internal frame.
Yeah, and so we learned that over the years of building models. Like the first times we built internal frames, we first built them, but they weren't strong enough. And so over time, we've learned like new techniques of how to make it stronger. And so for like Hulkbuster, we made that one super strong because he was so big. And so yeah, just like over time, we learned how to create the internal frame stronger and stronger.
So that's definitely like our main thing that we focus on, and then everything else we kind of add on and design later.
Do you start with the idea of like, okay, it's going to have 2 arms and a head, and these things need to be held up? Or you go, oh, it's going to have this posture, so we need to build the floor part first and work up? Like, do you have a starting place when you're thinking about the framework?
So there's like 2 different types of internal frames that we make. So one of them is like a pose, and that's what you will see on like Black Manta right here. So if the superhero, or maybe even supervillain, as in the case for Black Manta, has a signature kind of pose, we would design that. And so we always look into like, making sure like the legs fit. And usually we actually use like 3 supports on the bottom so that it can stand upright. And so we definitely looked at building up. So starting off from the legs is the strongest part, and then slowly building up on the rest. And then for like the bigger models, for example, on Hulkbuster, we need to make sure that he can be taken apart, and so he can be mobile. So we have to design each piece separately and figure out like, we need to make sure that each piece kind of slides in and then it's portable.
Cool, very cool.
And is the internal structure made from cardboard?
Yes, the internal. Well, so most of the models are made from cardboard, but Hulkbuster, when we were creating out of cardboard, the internal frame actually started to break, and so we used aluminum rods that we had just laying around, and we used those because they're a lot stronger and they wouldn't like break as easily. But yeah, most of it is cardboard, but then of course we use like other stronger materials just in case.
Yeah, so everything is like trial and error, and we're learning. Even still on Hulkbuster, we're still learning how to improve our skills.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Marcella, please.
Yes, I have a question for you. So clearly this looks like it's, a passion project and how you spend your free time. Have you started to consider, will this start to shape what you do for a living and the areas that you'd like to study. So what are some of the thoughts you have on that?
So personally, I've always wanted to become an entrepreneur, and that's like one of my dream jobs. And just going into like the business industry, that's something that I've been super interested in. And I get to do that with Cardboard Superheroes, and I get to learn a lot of experiences. And so that's something that, with Cardboard Superheroes, that I've learned that I enjoy, like entrepreneurship, like starting businesses. And yeah, so this is something definitely for me.
Yeah, and then so I love like the building part of this, and I'm still pretty young, so I don't know exactly what I want to be. But my dad, he actually told me about a job. It's called Disney Imagineering. It's like for Disney, they build like the roller coasters, and I thought that was pretty cool. And it kind of goes along the line of like engineering, which is kind of like building the models. And so I'm not exactly for sure, but that's like somewhere that I would think would be cool to go into in the future.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I have a question that I think some of the moms and dads and other parents at home might be curious about. I see you've made these amazing structures and models with cardboard. Can you share what you think? What did you learn? Because as a mom, I want to see my kids and I want them to go build things. But can I say that they're doing science or engineering or math? Can you share a little bit how building these amazing models connects to some of the learning that you do at school?
Yeah, so for these models, a lot of it is like math. Like my brother said in the beginning, when we have to print out all the pictures, we have to scale these models up correctly. And so we have to use like ratios, and we have to measure like how tall the picture is. And then we have to figure out how tall we want to make the model. And so a lot of math is involved in order to scale these models up correctly. And then also it's a lot of like hands-on activities. And so it just helps build like fine motor skills when building some of these models. So those are some like the things we learn along the way.
And also we learned some things like, I guess, things like, for example, like the triangle is like a really strong shape, and that's what we kind of use in our models. For example, definitely on the internal base, you'll see like a three-way support system that's making sure our models are standing strong.
I love that. You said you learned that the triangle is really strong. That's different than a math teacher telling you that the triangle is really strong, right? You actually can physically tell in your building.
Yeah, we get to see hands-on, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Take some of these concepts that they talk about and see how they play out in your creations. Cool.
Have you shared this with classmates? Like, do the kids you go to school with know that you're doing this?
I would say like my close friends, if they ever come over to my house, or when they come over to my house, they've seen it and they've grown up with it, so they've been kind of used to it. I mean, some of my friends, they've seen me build like the first R2D2, and so they've kind of always known. But I guess like some of the friends like I met in high school, for example, they were really shocked, and they were really supportive and excited for me.
Yeah, and so actually not many of my friends know. I guess like actually one of my closest friends, he knows because like he's also grown up with me and he's come over and he's seen the models. But a lot of like my new friends, they actually don't know about this yet.
Especially like during COVID, like we're not, we can't have friends over, so but it's something that it's exciting to share with them later in the future.
How has COVID impacted the process for you?
So I feel like part of it is it wasn't as great because like we weren't able to go to in-person events, but it was in a way kind of like a blessing to us because we were actually able to create new like workshops and things like that. And so actually a workshop that we're working on right now for students. So a lot of students for schools were trying to create these miniature models for students to be able to build. And so this was a little project that my brother and I are working on, and especially because kids aren't in the actual classroom and like they won't really have like the full art experience when they're at home now. And so by building some of these models, miniature models for kids to build for their school, it kind of allows them to be able to still have the art experience.
Can you say a little bit more about the workshops? Are you doing these online, and how do people find out about them?
So we actually ran a summer project with the Comic-Con Museum this past summer break, and it went really well. And we created a lot of models, for example, like an X-Wing fighter, and we provided like instruction videos on YouTube that people can watch, and also templates. And our whole focus is on like, or one of the focuses is on like using like Amazon cardboard boxes, like use whatever cardboard you have at home and just build out of that. And then later on, we decided why don't we like introduce this into like schools? And because I feel like kids would also be very interested in this. And so we got a lot of feedback on like the difficulty is a lot harder for like middle school age and upper elementary school. So we simplified them and we started creating easier models to build. And we have like newer models right here. And these models, we are also providing like teacher guides and objectives and assessment kind of guidelines for them to look at. So that's going to be really exciting. And we're hoping to roll this out in around 2021. And this is in partnership with the Comic-Con Museum.
Yeah, so like my brother said, we haven't actually rolled this out yet. And so right now we're trying to find schools to first like test this in. And so I guess if you guys have any like connections, like that would be like great if we could find out. But of course, like we're still going on with this, and we're still trying to figure out and finalize everything before we put it out.
Well, you definitely have a new team of people interested in helping you make that a reality.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think I'd like you to talk for a little bit about what it felt like when the first one fell apart on you.
I would say after we built Iron Man, which was the first one that kind of fell apart, we were super excited. And I guess maybe like a year or two later, he started to break apart. I think he actually like did the splits on us. And, you know, that there we learned like, you know, Triangle as a really strong support system. So we actually added another PVC pipe within him. So we have like a 3-way support system. Even still, we learned that it still won't fix. He still fell apart. So as he's actually laying down on the side right now. So we were definitely bummed out, but in a way it was kind of like a good way to learn. So now we're like, we better make an internal frame before any of the other models break apart. So
yeah, same thing with like, cause like it's normally the ones that are in like some sort of pose. So Iron Man was in a pose, and that's why his legs did the splits and broke open, as well as Black Manta. He was actually starting to do it, but we caught it early enough that we were able to reinforce him to make him strong again.
So Iron Man was our test dummy, I guess.
And has there been any like failure in it that just made you, feel like you cannot go back to this?
Actually, we have it right here. This was Hulkbuster's hands, and unfortunately, we built them actually too small, so we didn't get the ratio and scaling right. And that was
this is really because hands are probably like the hardest part of the model, one of the hardest. Because the thing is like when you look at your hands, it has individual joints, and you actually have to make every single one of those individual joints. And so when we found out that this didn't end up being the right size, we were really upset. But right now we're on the process of rebuilding them.
I definitely had to take a break and not build the hands anymore and just move on to another part of it.
Well, that's a really good
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when something's too difficult, instead of just sticking on that one thing, like move on to something else and then like come back to it.
Let all your frustrations out and then come back. Yep.
So true. Grown-ups could learn that lesson too.
Oh, you're muted, Mark.
I could talk louder while I'm muted, I guess. Curious about the materials, and this is one of those things that comes up at with foundation stuff too, of course, sometimes. I'm wondering if some of your materials take a very, from the very beginning approach. Like you talk about taking lots of photos and measuring the photos and projecting them to size and all that stuff, which I think would be, like incredibly valuable for teachers and kids who want to build stuff to have. More so in some ways than like, here's how to build this cool car model, because then they end up building the cool car model and they go, oh, well, okay, I built another copy of that, but like, what if I wanted to build some other kind of a car? Like, do I have enough of the wherewithal to figure out how to measure, how to, look for perspective and whatnot? So I think it'd be cool if you haven't already developed materials like that, if that could be part of your workshop package too. Just from the get-go, like, here's how to dream about doing this stuff, and here's how to use a protractor, and that kind of stuff.
Actually, a lot of these models that we're creating for like the schools and stuff, we're putting like, since it's for students and teachers, we're putting like learning objectives in it. So we basically write down like what they learn. Like, for example, for this model, maybe they'll learn, for this one, they'll learn like how to build like cubes in like very simple shapes. And for other ones, they'll learn like how to scale them up correctly using math and ratios. And like right angles for different to follow the ratios of it.
And then so each model has like, I guess, one specific thing that you will take away. And just like I built R2D2's curved, I use that on every other model. So this is like the Captain America shield, sorry. This is a curved model, and this is where you can learn how to make curves, and this is what you take on later on. So I guess like, but we're definitely gonna try to do that as well. Thank you for.
Oh, that's great. No, that's fantastic.
So I know cardboard is one of the ingredients. What are some of the other tools or ingredients that you use in developing these? Like, I'm very curious about the glue and the tape.
Yeah, so we use hot glue for these models. Yeah, because hot glue is like really strong and it cools down pretty fast, and so that's what we use to put together some of these models. But then for the internal frame, sometimes we have to use like duct tape just to make it so that it's more secure. But that's mainly on just the internal frame because that has to be the strongest part.
I wonder, this is me wondering for my young girls out there, I wonder if I love that it's cardboard superheroes. That's awesome. But I wonder if we could take the same principles and use it to create like cardboard fashion and like cardboard clothing and cardboard design. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're always open to like going to new things and switching to new ideas and things like that. So yeah, definitely.
That would be really cool. Yeah,
Right.
I guess like Wonder Woman right there. Actually, it was like my first attempt at, I guess what you were saying. Like I got to build her suit, and something that was really cool is it was intricate like curves, kind of like a puzzle piece together. And so I guess definitely that would be a great option to have. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I want Wonder Woman boots today out of cardboard today for sure.
So what advice would you have for kids who, whatever their interest is in getting started and getting past the tough points or when something doesn't quite work out the way? Because a lot of kids, when that happens, they just quit. What's your advice?
I guess so. Like for us, it was kind of like pick something that you love to do and just do that because you want to find something that you're really passionate about yourself, and you don't want to go into something that you don't enjoy as much because you just end up not wanting to do it. And so like us, we love to do building, and so that's just what we came towards. So I guess my advice would just be pick something and just don't give up on it and just push as hard as you can.
And also I would say like when you're building, so for example, like sure you may be interested in building, but I would say like incorporate something you also love. For example, we love superheroes. And so when we're building, we incorporate superheroes. So we're sticking with it longer. We really put a lot of our effort into this. And when things get too hard, like I would say, you want to start small, of course, and then kind of build your way up like we did. We started off really small, then going to R2D2, and then so on to all these models. So just starting small is always a great way. And then, so just incorporate what you love to do.
I love that. I think we're going to start a new hashtag for you. Hashtag build what you love. Right?
Yeah.
Very good point. Were there things that you tried before this that didn't quite work for you? Like before you started building with cardboard, did your parents expose you to other like music lessons, or like were there other things that they were trying to get you interested in that didn't work before you found this one?
Yeah,
I guess like our parents never like, I mean, they kind of just like always introducing us to new things. So for example, we've played all the sports: basketball, swimming, soccer. We're actually still soccer players. We're playing at school and in a club team, so that's something we kind of took on. But in terms of like cardboard, that was kind of cool because we got to find that like something on our own, just kind of like at our grandpa's warehouse, just kind of building and finding something new. So just like always looking for around your surroundings and seeing what you find interesting. And then our parents like
things like kind of like they put us in like
improv.
Yeah, they put us in improv, and we actually still do improv.
So that's really fun too, and we got to take on a lot of skills through that as well.
Has that helped you with school at all?
Improv, I think definitely because it kind of like when through the years of improv, like in the beginning, like I wasn't as maybe like outgoing or comfortable speaking as much, and it helped me like get out of my shell. And so I think that was definitely something that of course, maybe in the moment I wasn't as glad to do it, but when I look back, it was definitely something that I'm really glad I did.
And improv is definitely like when you're speaking in front of audiences, like large audiences, it's great because you're teaching about like quick thinking and just being able to talk in front of people without being afraid. So it's definitely a lot of skills that we've learned.
I'm just blown away by the two of you, and I'm so happy to meet you. And I'm glad that I got a chance to meet your dad before this, because it helped to break the assumptions that I had made about the fact that it was probably the dad. I mean, when I did a project on Family Day at one of the aerospace companies, and all the parents were engineers, and we were doing stuff with the kids, but the parents kept taking over, and the kids really didn't get a chance to do the experimenting and failure. And I feel like your parents have really modeled the absolute best way to allow your talents to come forward, because as I understand it, they've basically given you space and asked you to keep your mess within that space.
That's their condition. Yeah, definitely. Like our parents have always been like, like if you want to spend your free time doing something, just go out and do something you love. If you want to play soccer outside, like something we like to do, just go and do that and spend your free time doing that. And so, we also found cardboard building as one of those options for ourselves. And so that's something that, we like to spend on our downtime as well.
Love it. Truly inspirational. Now, before we leave, though, I think we probably have a lot of viewers that are thinking, what tools do I need to get started? Like, this is amazing. I have cardboard. Now what? Can you give them some tips on maybe some things they should have, or just kind of how to get started without being overwhelmed?
I guess like one of the easiest ways is like the project that my brother and I did over the summer with the Comic-Con Museum. That's actually still like live. It's if you go to the Comic-Con Museum website, there's all of our models. There's everything there. There's the templates. There's the tutorial videos. That way they can get started building some simpler models, and that way they can work their way up.
And also included in there, there's also links to the supplies that we use. So, so for example, I can just run them down real quick. Is like we use kitchen scissors, but you can use any scissors. But I'd say like after all like the scissors we test tried, kitchen scissors were definitely the best. And then hot glue guns. I think any hot glue gun works. We just don't want to touch the tip, definitely, because it's a hot glue gun. But there's definitely like kids craft hot glue guns with only like the low setting in them, which also works perfectly well for the cardboard models as well. And then tape, I wouldn't say that's like a necessity, but you can use tape. Scotch tape works well. So yeah.
Cool. So if I've got some boxes and I go into the kitchen and find something that looks like scissors, and I got my hot glue gun, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really all you need. And then I guess you just go to the instruction videos and templates, and then you have everything there. And then we purposely made these so that they should be able to fit on one single Amazon box. So that way you don't have to have like 50 around.
Not that we have 50 Amazon boxes around during quarantine. Not that we're over purchasing from Amazon at all right now. But still, that's awesome. So one box, your glue gun, something to cut with, some scissors, and you're ready to go.
And then just pick something you want to build and then just start building. Yep.
The beauty of this is that there really is no barrier to entry, that really anyone can come up with the tools to make this happen. And if they can't, then we are working on ways to try and make sure that they have them in their hands to get going. I'm so impressed with you guys and so happy that you came to join us. Dejana, I do think Marcella and Mark, this is the end of the stream for today.
No.
But what about Baby Yoda?
Oh yes, Baby Yoda. Thank you, Mark.
Baby Yoda.
Oh,
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda is wonderful. And now, is that one of the workshops that you're going to do? Teach people how to make a Baby Yoda?
Well, this one is a little bit more difficult, I would say. This one involves some new methods we actually are trying out and are kind of still learning how to do. Like it's like a foam shaped model. So, but I guess something we would look into in the future once we kind of perfect it and understand exactly how to build it in the easiest way possible.
I love it. Let's put Baby Yoda in screen again as we head out. What can I say? Thank you so much to Connor and Bauer Lee for sharing their amazing creativity with us and for our viewers. Thank you to Dr. Marcella Klein-Williams and Mark Riddle for joining us. We're out of time. I'm Dr. Dejana, and I'm here with Dr. Leah. Thank you for joining us, and that's it. We'll see you next time for another live episode of Teachers for Teachers. That's you, moms and dads.
Yes, thank you. We'll be keeping an eye on you two guys as